Welcome to Forest Namesake. So glad to have you here. I'm Valentine and this is my mom, Martina. Today we're going to talk about how God has rescued or delivered us from situations like right at the last minute. And I mean that almost literally.
Yes.
And I'm sure that you guys have lots of stories to share on your own end. In fact, that'd be a good idea for the God in Our Story series.
There you go. Now come on, bring those stories. Okay.
I throw that in there.
Yes.
Okay, so
Okay.
I guess we could start by sharing some examples of how God has miraculously done the last minute work that he does.
Well, here's one that'll get your attention. And if you're joining us for the first time, you can go back to some of our old videos. Well, I wouldn't be able to tell you which ones those were, so I'll just tell you. I had, back in the day when I was driving, I'm not driving now, my husband does all the driving, and for good reason too, because in the city where we lived before, which is a lot bigger than where we live now, it became very trafficky, lots of people moving in from all over the place, and people were just driving like they were from Dallas. And if you've been to Dallas, Texas, you would know that people just, you have to know where you're going basically in a hurry, because people will crash into you if you don't go the very fast speed that they're going. So basically it got to the point where I got road rage really bad. Yes, I'm Christian, but I had really bad road rage, to the point where I would, and Valentine is a witness because poor her and her siblings had to be in the car with me when all this was going on, and I should be ashamed of myself, and I am. But that's all in the past now, and God's forgiven me for that. But I did have road rage so bad to the point where I would chase down the people that cut in front of me, or the people that tailgated me from behind, or they would come out from the side out of nowhere. I would actually chase them down. I'd have my brights on and flash those. I would honk for quite some time, or I'd do the several honks in a row, and then I couldn't wait to meet up with them at the next light, because I was going to roll down my window and I was going to yell at them, and you name it. And sometimes I would just follow them all through town, and some of them, I think, just it was an accident that they cut in front of me, like an old lady. One time I was actually very ashamed of myself. Some old lady cut in front of me at the last minute, and I basically followed her all through town. And I think she finally got so nervous she actually pulled into it was a Jewish synagogue, and she was just terrified. And I thought, oh my goodness, how I should be ashamed of myself. And I think I truly was ashamed of myself. But basically, getting to the point, this one time I actually had road rage towards the wrong person, and I mean really wrong. It was a guy in one of those, I think they're called lowriders. It's like a sports car that's almost touching the ground, and then it can go back up again, according to, kind of like in the old days. I don't know if I think they still make that now. But anyway, he had very black windows. I couldn't even see the driver really, but he did have his window down a little bit, so I could see he was, I could see what he looked like. He was maybe a guy in his latter 20s, something like that. Looked really rough around the edges. Someone you really don't want to get on the bad side of. And he cut in front of me, and I tailgated him and honked my horn and did the flashing of the lights, and I followed him basically all through town. And eventually it got to the point where he was behind me. We were kind of like, in traffic kind of thing, where he was behind me, and then I really heard God saying to me in audible voice, and he said, "He's coming for you. He's coming for you. Watch out." So I turned into this church parking lot, and I didn't know it at the time, but years later we became members of that church. But not because of that, but was just trying to find a hiding place. And dear God, help me find a hiding place where I can hide amongst all these cars. And thank God there were a lot of cars there during the day, during the week, for some kind of meeting of some sort. And I was able to hide in there, but he was circling around the parking lot. And God said, "He's coming for you, and he's armed and dangerous." And I thought, oh my goodness. Oh, and of course I was panicking. God, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. And at the last minute, this is when God comes in at the last minute, he provided, out of the blue, I don't know where this person came from, an old man on a bicycle. And he was just propped up against the building and just sitting there. And the man that was circling around looking for me, that was basically going to hurt me somehow, he gave up.
And I was in the vehicle too.
Yeah, Valentine was in the vehicle with me, and he was, and I don't know who else was in the vehicle. Was it just you and me?
In fact, I think that she was taking me to discipleship school.
I think so, yeah, and or coming back from it, whichever. But nevertheless, God provided a man. This is when we talked about angels in the past, and I thought he was an angel without the wings, of course, but just boom like that. I don't even know where he came from. I didn't even see him ride up. And I'm thinking, where'd that man come from? And when he was there and he was just kind of standing up against his bicycle, up against the building, just kind of, just a regular old man, that other one, the one that was looking for me, he gave up. Because whatever he was going to do to me, shoot me, whatever he was going to do, he couldn't do it because now there was a witness, basically. And so he took off and left, and I never saw him again. And would you believe that I was actually terrified for months after that? I kept looking for his vehicle, thinking, I don't want to run into him again. I don't want him to see me again. He's probably got my license plate memorized or something. I don't want to see him again. Would you believe I never did see that guy again, ever again, ever. And we had been there years after that, and it's one of those towns. It's bigger, but you can still see each other pretty much regular.
We mentioned the city before.
Yeah, right. So, well, yeah, let's leave it at that. But anyway, I forgot that we'd mentioned where it was.
Because we mentioned where we used to work.
Yeah, so it was where we used to work. I'll just leave it at that. But nevertheless, that's where God came at the last minute and provided, basically, I saw it as an angel. And I think you would think I would learn my lesson after that, and I maybe I did for a while, but I still had road rage, but maybe not quite as bad, right? Maybe. Okay. Yeah, so there's an example of God coming in at the last minute. Now, do you have a story to share? Probably not as boom extravagant as that, but something.
Well, before we became homeless, so you could watch the homeless videos to find out more information how we got to this state. But when things were really bad, we could not pay the mortgage. Our Jeep got repossessed because we could not afford the payments on our Jeep. Now we did get a notice in the mail, like, should the proceeds extend whatever, you might get a portion back, depending on how much it sold for. I didn't think that we were ever going to get a check. That was just my whatever. But then lo and behold, we get a check in the mail. We didn't even know if it was real or not, because I think it was like $5,000.
Oh, it was $10,000 actually. $10,000 on a Jeep Renegade. I guess they asked for too much money at the auction, so we got that portion, whatever portion back.
I was so scared the check was going to be fake. It was almost too good to be true. But it was real, and thank the Lord, because that helped us with the next mortgage and to put food on the table.
Several mortgages, actually, because the mortgage was $1,700 a month. So that helped for several mortgages in a row, and plus bills that we had to pay. Yeah. And there's been other times, too, where God just came to the rescue. Remember that? And then, well, yeah, that was the one we weren't supposed to share, but so I'll leave that quiet. But yeah, he's been there lots of times at the last minute for us. And what is the purpose of him coming to the rescue at the last minute? I would think it's faith. God's testing our faith. And we have several friends who they can share the same thing, where at the last minute where they saw there's no way out. And some of our talks overlap some of the other talks that we've already had. Like we recently did a talk on, I think the title was called When There Is No Way Out, When You See No Way Out. And another one was on miracles that God does for us. I think it was called Angels and Miracles. And so you'll hear about this story where I had the road rage and that man was following me. That was in there as well. But that's okay, because this one is about God coming in at the last minute for us when we really need it. Sometimes like dire situations like what I just shared, and then other times where, well, yeah, we need to make the payments, that kind of thing. But yeah, I would think it's for faith, right? Because he's testing our faith.
And in other situations, it's not even something dire. It could even be after the opportunity is already passed. For instance, when I came back from Indonesia for 4 months and I wasn't sure what to do with my life next, how to serve the Lord, my parents at the time were attending a large church that had a discipleship school there. and they thought that would be something I would be interested in. But I missed the deadline. So after praying about it and asking the director's permission to enroll somehow, boom, I got accepted. Like the next day or something like that. Like, wow, that's a miracle. I missed the deadline, and the opportunity just happened to come when I, came back to the States. So that was God working for me, like, especially when I was like, what am I supposed to do now, Lord? And there was the discipleship school.
Yes, that was a blessing. Yeah. Like I said, there's lots of, I wish I could share a whole bunch of them, but my mind is just, in the moment I can't think of anything. But I know He's been there for us lots of times in our lifetime. Even before I was a Christian, God was there for me in the nick of time. Just boom, and saved the day, basically. The saying "saved by the bell." That's what we used to have back in my day. Saved by the bell, or saved by the phone call, or whatever. But even those days, God was always there to the rescue, even if a lot of times it was at the last minute kind of thing.
I was going to read you a Bible verse if I can find it. Okay, here's Psalm 18, verse 6. Now this is David and hiding from Saul. So he was always on the run. He always needed God's deliverance, and he had the faith that God would. But he was still human. He still had his fears. But this is where he said, "In my distress I called upon the Lord and cried out to my God. He heard my voice from His temple, and my cry came before Him, even to His ears." And it goes on to say how the Lord delivered him. You can read it. It's quite a long chapter. It's 50 verses. But at the end of the verse, it does a great deliverance He gives to His king, and the king was David, of course, and shows mercy to His anointed, to David and his descendants forevermore. So that's where it mentions deliverance. Another one is Psalm 40, another one from David. "I waited patiently for the Lord, and He inclined to me and heard my cry. He also brought me up out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my steps." Yeah. And it's interesting how David mentioned patiently. I am not a patient person. I want God to fix things quickly for me. Like all those times I mentioned before we became homeless, and then God at the last minute worked a miracle. Yes. But I probably could have saved myself some sorrow if I had just put my trust in the Lord.
Yeah. And then I was sitting here, I was listening to all that, but then I was also thinking, I don't know if we had a chance to do this on our other videos, is that did we thank everybody for all the money that we did on the post, but not everybody reads the post or gets a chance or has a notification for the post. So we just want to make sure in case we forgot, thank you all so much for all of your financial contributions on the video where we said we need your help, please. And we didn't, because we were getting a lot of views but not a lot of comments in the previous videos. I was thinking, you know what, it'll be a miracle that we get even one comment and maybe that one person will leave some money or make a contribution. I didn't think we would hear from anybody, so that was a miracle itself from the Lord. And so we just want to say thank you, because I don't know if we actually, Valentine says we do. I don't remember. My memory is so bad these days. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of our heart for all of your contributions. And people were still giving money after that day. And I thought, wow, maybe they're just now getting to the video, because sometimes it takes time to get to people's, technology. So thank you so much. And so that was another way where God came in for us when we saw no way out and we didn't know how we were going to pay just to make ends meet until my husband gets situated in a job, how we were going to pay the big bills coming up now, which we're recording this video on October 1st. By the time you see it will be probably 2 days from now. Yeah, I think so. Today's Wednesday. Yeah, it'll be Friday that you see this one, Lord willing. And so by that time we will have to pay all of our big big bills. The cell phone, which we're trying to get a new cell phone company going, and so thank you for sending all the cell phone company ideas. We're looking into every one of those. And then also we have to downsize our storage unit, so we're trying to sell some things on Facebook Marketplace for that. But we still have to pay the bill for October's. So we would have not been able to do that on our own if it hadn't been for y'all's contributions. So thank you so much for that. So that's another way where God came in just when I thought, I don't know what we're going to do now. I guess we're going to be backlogged on our payments, and they're going to charge us for each day that we're not paying, for those bills.
Not only that, but we were concerned about food in general too.
Yes, that too. Yeah. Because my other children, we don't want to impose on them and ask them constantly for money. They're on a kind of a tight. I know my daughter is. I don't know about my son, but my daughter for sure. She has a certain amount of money that she's got to put away to pay her apartment, and then the bills that go with that. Because it's not one of those all utilities paid apartments. She's on her own for her utilities, plus groceries and things like that. So yeah. But thank you again. And if you have any stories, did you have another Bible verse to share? If you have any Bible, not Bible. If you have any stories of your own to share where God came in at the last minute, please, we would love to know about those. I would say hear. We're not going to hear anything. We'll see your comments. So we would love to learn about those. Yeah. Did you have anything else to add to that? I feel something crawling on my leg. We had some cricket in here last night. Scared me to death, but we never did find it. So now I'm thinking surely it's asleep during the day, but I don't know. I feel something on my leg. Okay. Did you have anything else? You good to go?
I think that's it. Thank you again for watching. And for those of you who are new, I mentioned in the beginning of this video we were doing a God in Our Story series. If you want to know more about that, check the playlist God in Our Story series. And in each of the videos, there's a description box that tells you how to submit one.
Yeah, and everybody has a story. That's what I always keep saying. We have lots of stories in our lives, lots of stories. In fact, I'm working on right now. So I need to get on the ball so I can get that one out.
And a big thank you to our members. We've had some new ones recently.
Yes.
Thank you again. We're still working on videos for you. Let us know some ideas, members. I think we at least got 2 done for you.
Right, so two new ones.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay.
And for the rest of you, please click like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. And Lord willing, we will see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye-bye.